The chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with muttered skepticism and derisive smiles as rumors spread about the most recent race to join the stars, human companions. Representatives of several dozen species, each with decades of technological evolution, limitless resources, and superior military capabilities, looked on. To them, these humans were just another inquisitive young race with scrappy technology, appearing outdated and having an absurdly brief stay in space. Their entrance into the cosmic arena had been met with equal amounts of laughter and skepticism. However, persistent cautions began to spread from some cautious voices, those of the uncommon races that somehow recognized the cutting-edge craft of humanity. These voices included the weak but knowledgeable Fursa, the enlightened one, who had encountered a human scout ship on the outskirts of their space. Despite their original assurance that humanity was nothing to fear, Fursa had begun warning others. "Don't underestimate them," they said. "Think carefully." Of course, the concept of early human ships seemed ridiculous. How could a race that barely made it to the closest stars be anything more than a humorous footnote in galactic history? The first and apex warrior species openly chuckled at Fursa's warnings. Their commander, a tall figure dressed in traditional armor, dismissed the concerns with a sneer. "My lowest lieutenant could destroy them with a single shot from the pulse cannon." But one delegate raised his voice, recalling humanity's legendary tenacity. "What if the Fursa are right? Humans are adaptable and innovative. There's something unsettling about how eager they are to take risks and push boundaries." His voice grew louder, challenging the assembly's laughter. "The changes humans could make would be far more significant than you think. Do not dismiss them." News from the galaxy started circulating about an armada gathering near human space. The Farth, confident in their superiority, took it upon themselves to lead the charge and crush this young race. They hoped to demonstrate their dominance and suppress any notions of human uniqueness. As the Farth advanced, they began scanning human vessels. The ships appeared rough, boxy, and mismatched compared to the sleek, shiny designs of the Farth. A commander sneered at the sight. "Just look at these ships, welded together in a mockery of real engineering." But when the human ships moved, they did so with an unexpected grace. Despite their uncivilized appearance, the vessels glided through space with surprising agility, slipping between the stars like skilled predators on the hunt. The Farth, thinking it would be an easy victory, fired the first shot. Their cruiser aimed to destroy a human vessel with a single explosion. But as the shot neared its target, the human ship dodged and the blast missed. In response, the human ship fired a powerful energy blast that hit the Farth's cruiser, shaking its core and sending shockwaves through the surrounding vessels. Silence fell over the alien ranks. The Farth had not expected this. The humans kept launching attacks with boldness and accuracy, each shot calculated and well-timed, taking advantage of every vulnerability. Unaccustomed to such unconventional tactics, the Farth struggled to maintain their formations. Confusion and terror spread through the ranks as once confident officers exchanged anxious glances. The battle raged on, with human ships relentless in their pursuit. Each time the Farth fired, the humans seemed to anticipate and counter it, leaving their assumptions and arrogance in ruins. The Farth were no longer certain who the predators were. As each second passed, the weight of the revelation grew. The humans were not prey. They were survivors just as capable of fighting back as the Farth themselves. The chamber of the Galactic Council felt the shift in the air as it became clear that humanity was not merely a candidate for the stars, but a force to be reckoned with. The cautions had been right all along. The Farth, trembling from their first surprise, were forced to rethink their approach. What began as a direct assault shifted to a more methodical, cautious strategy, as the Farth engineers rushed to analyze the human ship's patterns and tactics. Swiftly modifying defenses, they tried everything to forecast the human. Layering their shields is the fleet's next maneuver and shifting their fire arcs in order to compensate. But regardless of how the Farth adapted, they remained a step forward, as though they had foreseen each alteration. Human ships appeared surprisingly silent in their motions, changing smoothly, adjusting as though they were aware of the Fala's plans. With small frames throughout, they effectively maneuvered through critical points, being hit by the fleet. Without hesitation, every blow from the humans was particularly prone to revealing flaws. Even the Firth was unaware of its existence. It became evident that humans weren't just reacting. They were managing the tempo of the conflict, controlling each phase, and disturbing insight began to circulate among the Fala. With their potent technology, the culmination of years of progress, it turned into a liability rather than an asset. Human ships appeared made to take advantage of even the most sophisticated systems. The Frala, used by the Firth, protected their self-esteem, but the humans discovered ways to get around them, where other animals had not withstood the Firth. Unconcerned, human ships moved as though they'd read and analyzed before the initial injection was even dismissed. Panic grew more intense when human vessels started employing strategies that were so surprising and unusual that the Farth couldn't understand how these rudimentary ships were able to do such things. Human ships would rush for adaptation, moving forward, attracting enemy fire, only to abruptly veer off course and depart from the threat. Ships firing at moments of unoccupied space. Later on, another human ship would arrive from a vulnerable vantage point, landing every motion in the crucial shot with purpose, causing extra chaos on the front end. Humans seemed to have discovered a method to weaponize chaos itself. Attempts to thwart these actions were futile. Their vessels, with complex, inflexible forms and systems, struggled to change quickly, in contrast to human vessels showing a degree of resilience and adaptability the Farth was unable to duplicate. As time went on, officers started to identify an additional level of danger they encountered with the humans. Without hesitation, mankind engaged in combat with terrifying confidence. There was simply no hesitation, no waste, a goal in every shot, every move. One officer ventured to say what others were starting to believe. These humans were merciless in addition to being skilled. They utilized every advantage available to them, every imperfection, offering no mercy at any point. The remaining conceit that the Firth possessed dissolved when they became aware that they were no longer confronting a lower-class race. They were confronting cunning and lethal predators. More frigid vessels breached their defenses, ripped apart by an adversary who seemed to comprehend them more thoroughly than they knew the area surrounding them. They were as full of wrecks as human vessels were. Disassembled, the first piece. Of formation by component, their systems made to manage known dangers found themselves overpowered by this new adversary that exceeded all expectations. As the Farth lost the structure they originally had, the dominating fleet started to resemble more prey than predator. The first human attempt at each maneuver was countered by the Farth, but humans countered with even increased precision. There was no randomness, no error, just unwavering pressure, as though humans had expected every potential result. The destruction of the Firth ships acted as a reminder of the extent to which they had misjudged this adversary. It was the only constant heartbeat of fear rushing through the confidence of the Farth officers. With each captain and crew member informed that they were running out of time, when the Fala's desperation peaked, they saw their most powerful ships fall. One by one, the ships fell, and the orders were improvised, barked plans, but nothing could challenge the superiority of the human fleet. Every time an attempt failed, the sinking realization struck among the Farth that this fight was no longer just a spectacle of authority. It had turned into a battle for survival. Human ships that survived carried on with their formations, tightening, building an imperceptible wall that gradually confined the Farth in their fleet. The humans appeared to be anticipating the ideal moment, biding their time, and letting the Firth tire themselves out. When all options were exhausted, the human fleet delivered a near-surgical hit, tearing apart the rest of the Firth ships. Once proudly blasted, the Firth fleet was now little more than strewn debris in empty space, evidence of an adversary's skill they hadn't comprehended. The remaining Firth ships floated, damaged and helpless as the human fleet successfully reunited. But eerily quiet, the reality was now apparent. Human ships were unique, not merely due to their power or speed, but because of the minds that commanded them. The battle's aftermath lay before them, burdened by the leftovers of the formerly arrogant Fifth Fleet, which had just hours before been symbols of might. Now, the symbols of might were a stark reminder of a significant miscalculation. Unexpected triumph moved swiftly, contacting command centers on other planets and councils of diplomats throughout the galaxy. Creatures that had previously disregarded humanity as a minor participant in the cosmos were now deeply uneasy, filled with reverence for this emerging force. Officers on the front lines could hardly process their sorrow, gazing with disbelief at the pieces of their armada scattered across space. This wasn't merely a loss, it was a tearing down of their pride in a brutal dismantling of everything they owned. Unshakable, yet how could human vessels, a species the stars considered so young, possess such strength and accuracy? The more they attempted to comprehend, the more they discovered that the solution wasn't straightforward. The technology of humanity wasn't merely advanced, it was designed differently, more advanced, exploiting every assumption, gap, and flaw. The galaxy had misinterpreted humanity as a universal power. The Council called an urgent meeting, going over every aspect of the conflict. Screens of reports flashed with pictures of human ships navigating the debris, delivering blows with surgical accuracy while moving like they were more familiar with the Firth ships than the Firth themselves. The Council members